Hello everyone, welcome to exam type questions. Explain the negative impact of business cycle fluctuations on the vulnerable people. Now, I want you to pay attention to this question. We are actually focusing on vulnerable people. Who are the vulnerable people? We are talking about the disadvantaged people here. Those are the poor people, the disabled, old age, and so on. Right. The next thing that you need to look at in this kind of question is we are talking about the negative effect, the negative impact of business cycle fluctuations. How do the fluctuations in the business cycle affect the vulnerable people negatively? This is what the question is asking you to explain. Okay. Vulnerable people are unaware of any relief services that could help them. There can be relief systems that can be put in place, but since they are far away, they are in rural areas where there is no network. Even if there is information that comes to say, go to people, the government have decided to give you 350 rand, they won't even know that there is 350 rand that they are supposed to be applying. Just an example. They don't know because there is no network at all. How do they get that kind of information? They have low levels of education, and that makes it difficult for them to obtain and analyze information. You know, sometimes they can get some booklets that are explaining things, but since they have their low level of education, they cannot interpret what the information is saying. They can't analyze the information. Because of their isolation, these are isolated people, remember, they are unaware of, or they have difficulty in accessing the services. They lack teamwork because they are reluctant to organize themselves. This is very, very important to note. Depending on the marks that have been allocated in this type of question, you will have to decide now how many points that you can list. Now, this type of question may come with very few marks, maybe 2 marks. Then you just mention 1. But if it comes as part of the essays on that additional part, then you have to make sure that you list all the points and note that this is not something that you are supposed to be claiming. You need to understand this and write in your own words. You can add your own points as long as you reach the maximum amount of marks that are required. Last time I checked this question, it had 8 marks, so I just decided to write down 4 points, of which each point carries 2 marks. Identify 2 types of consumption. Here, you just name them. Give 2 types of consumption. We have got immediate consumption. We have deferred consumption. There is no need to explain anything because you are just naming. But if it says name and explain, you have to explain what immediate consumption is. I don't want to go into detail with this topic because I already covered it in one of the videos that are on our channel. You just check if you don't understand what immediate consumption is, because the video is already there. What impact does absolute and relative scarcity have on developing countries' economies? You are focusing on countries of the South. You are focusing on poor countries. So, absolute and relative scarcity have an effect on developing countries, and you need to write down the effect. The question is not asking you to explain or to differentiate between absolute and relative scarcity. We already have a video about this topic, so we just have to focus on the impact of these two forms of scarcity on the developing countries. Developing countries with absolute scarcity have inadequate resources. They don't have enough resources. Therefore, they are unable to manufacture products and services. You are not able to produce goods because you don't have the resources to produce those goods and services that you would like to produce. The country's relative scarcity alludes to the notion that it lacks the essential knowledge and capital to manufacture the goods and services. Hence, there is no job creation, aggregate income and economic growth remains low. There is no improvement in terms of economic growth. There is no improvement in terms of job creation. There is no improvement in terms of aggregate income and so on. So this is how you are expected to answer this type of question. This marks the end of the lesson. Thank you for watching.